My name is John Gould. My position at Bambu is co-inventor and product engineer. And my role with the wonderful ROCKsteady speaker was I did the tuning of the software. I started messing with sound and filters and stuff at a really young age. I got into ham radio and was always looking for a way to, and this is back when you had to know Morse code, so I was looking for a way to clear up so I could make the code more intelligible. And luckily I grew up with a father that was an electrical engineer as well, so he guided me to study things about filters and there again frequency and so on. And so I started building analog devices to help clean up my ham radio signal so I could then better get intelligibility out of Morse code. From there it went, like I said earlier, to doing synthesizer and sampling programming and trying to clean up that stuff. And it turned out my co-inventor had the same kind of ideas and grew up in a similar path. And when we met, it was like he was one side of the brain, I was the other, and we collaborated. I worked with a lot of the major keyboard manufacturers, Roland, Korg, Ensoniq, Yamaha. I was part of development of a particular Korg keyboard called the Triton, doing all the wave samples for that. I was working in conjunction with a gentleman by the name of Sam Mims, who is known in the synthesizer world as a sound designer, keyboard player, and has a company called Centaur. I worked for that company for a while. I worked for PV Electronics. I worked for Behringer, who manufactures audio interfaces and devices and mixing boards and so on. I've done engineering work as far as audio engineering at some studios back in Texas, Sound Arts Recording Studio, and a couple of others. So a lot of background in audio, and I'm also a musician. I play the guitar, pedal steel, bass, and I have performed all over the world with different artists. Well, the inspiration for AWSM was twofold. Both the co-inventor and myself also worked in the field of sound development for keyboards and synthesizers, and we were looking for a way to improve sampling to do those tasks. And then when MP3s came around and compressed audio, we were trying to look for a way to make that sound more like what the original artist had in mind. We never met an artist that liked the way their MP3 sounded compared to what they left with when they left the studio. AWSM works by, we manipulate phase, frequency, and time. That's the best, simplest explanation I can give. AWSM, at least in the company's perspective from Bambu, is we give you a more real representation of what you're listening to. If you're listening to streaming content, which most people do these days, it's very compressed, it's very band limited, it's very non-phase coherent, it has a lot of anomalies in it. You can sometimes even hear percussive things that aren't really part of the sound, and that's why we're here. We want to make things sound as good as they possibly can within the context of what's being streamed or run through the device. Developing ROCKsteady's, or integrating our stuff into the ROCKsteady speaker was a multi-stage process. First thing we had to do was find out what chipset or what chip was the main audio chip in the device, and then we had to integrate our code into there. And then from there, we went to actually developing sound profiles. And that was probably the longest part of the process, was developing the sound profiles, because everybody here is a little different. Everybody wants a little different flavor. Like, you might want more raspberry flavor than blueberry flavor, or somebody might want more vanilla or chocolate or whatever. So that's probably been the longest part of the process, and going back and forth between the people who are developing the product along with Bambu, and comparing notes and so on and so forth. And it's been a fun process. I think we've all learned a lot about different particular pieces of the hardware itself. The tweeter is quite a bit different than the woofer as far as how it acts to certain things, and so it's been a great process, and I think we ended up with a great product. ROCKsteady Stadium is in concert with your life.